Hello. Hi, everybody. Get all signed in. Here we go. We're going live. We're going to talk about drills. That's right. We're talking about drills. Hey, how are you? Yay. And let's see if we can see a little fun going on here. There we go. All right. So, hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Stenhouse from Little Metal Foxes, and I've got Julia joining me this evening. We're going to be talking about drills, and there's Helen. Hi, Helen, and hi, Chris. And we've got a bunch of fun folks joining in the background there. So, hi, everybody. Hello, howdy. So pretty excited. We've got some fun drill talk tonight. And there is Julia, so let me see if we can get her invited here to join us. And yay, let's see. Here she is. And all right, hang on a second. Let's get her. Yeah, here we go. Let's go live with Julia. So we've got all kinds of fun tips to talk about drills. Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. So,
Can you hear me okay? I'm trying to use my earpiece.
yes, absolutely. Hey, Jason's just joined us. Hello there. One of the things that I was thinking about when I wanted to do drills tonight is that thinking back when I was an undergraduate and in grad school, Eleanor Modi and Fred Finster never talked about, never talked. It was the egg beater drills, right? And a lot of the finishing stuff and a lot of the things that we do with the flex shafts now, and kind of take it for granted. It's we were old school, and you really had to sort of like do with that egg beater drill. If you wanted to drill a hole, that's what you did it with. And the flex shaft was something fancy that you could use, of course, but we were using that for like polishing and stuff. We would usually use like good old egg beater drills for this kind of thing. And the thing that I want to remind everybody about is just that, not all the drills need to be electric and a pendant drill.
Nope.
Or,
don't need electricity.
Or you don't. And I think everybody sort of gets a little intimidated by the fact that it's like, oh, I have to have a flex shaft, and you don't.
No.
This real simple stuff was used for a long time. In fact, I wanted to show you guys this because there are some great paintings that I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, cool.
They're using, that's from Egypt, from some of the ancient tombs, and they're actually using bow drills right there.
Ah, right there. Yeah.
And there you go. So the bow drill that he's using right there would wrap around the center spindle, and then as you saw back and forth with your bow, it would spin the middle shaft. And they were usually using an abrasive to drill with. So it'd have like a piece of reed or something really stiff, and kind of wear their way through the metal with parts like that.
Instead or the other, whatever they're drilling a hole in.
Right, yeah, stone, metal, whatever. But, a little drills like this one, you can get a little, egg beater hand drill this one's from Sears, but it was like, $15. So you can get, regular little hand drills like that for not a lot of money. And the other one that I've got is the twist drill, which I think you've got. Yeah. Like all of us.
The Archimedes.
Seems like,
The Archimedes twist drill.
And it just sort of does this.
Yes.
Drill up and down. So it just goes kind of back and forth. But you had your
which I was calling it a bow drill, but really it's a pump drill, because a bow drill, you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, precision in language is so important, particularly in the world of Zoom, where you can't show people things. My students are always like, well, it's that thing. And I'm like, I need a word. So you're right. Bow drills are the ones that go side to side. And then what I wanted to show people how to use is a pump drill, which it works in a similar sort of way to the Archimedes drill, really, is what's happening.
Well, it's kind of a cross between the two, almost.
It is. The big advantage.
The other word I've heard it called is a like the perpetual motion drill, because it's almost like a perpetual motion that you're as you pump up and down. So it has the because you're using the force of the string going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Winding. Yeah.
So the big advantage of the pump drill over the Archimedes drill is that with the Archimedes drill, you actually need two hands, because you have to hold this bit with one hand and then you have to push this bit with the other hand. So you have to fix your object down, right? You have somehow you have to make your object stay, clamp it down.
So you're doing
pump
this
drill. Yes. So the pump drill, you only need one hand to operate it, so you can hold. Right.
Yeah, this one you also need to do the same thing, because you've got
to fix it down.
Yeah. So you're holding on to the drill while you're,
Exactly. So you have to have your hands, both hands are involved in the drilling process for these. The pump drill, you only need one hand to drill, and so then you can hold the work with the other hand. Right? Which is pretty cool. So what I have to figure out is if I can switch my view. I think I can.
Oh, let's try.
There we go.
There you go.
And let me just tip this down a little bit so you can see it.
Oh, look at that.
Here. So here's the guy. Here's my pump drill. And I'm going to try to move. I'll have to go a little further away. So here, can you see the whole thing?
So tell me about the parts on the pump drill. I know, but tell the people out there.
The people, for the viewers out there. Okay, so here's your drill bit, and this has got just a regular chuck that it fits into, though it really only works for pretty small drill bits. It doesn't really, it's not, you're going to need something bigger for big drill bits. And then this is brass, and it's a heavy weight that makes it spin. And then this is just wood, and then you have a piece of string, and the string is going through a hole here at the top. And it's really easy for this string to get up here and get twisted over. Like it'll want to go like this, and so then it's coming crossover. You can't have it be doing that. You need it to be moving from straight through the hole from one side to the other to have this work. All right. Okay. So now let me see if I can back up far enough so that you can see what I'm doing. All right. So you always lubricate your drill bit, no matter what you're doing. And then traditionally these drills were used with something called a spade bit that had cutting edges on both parts of the bottom. The bits that we use today will only cut moving in one direction. So I like to be pushing down on the push stroke when it's cutting. So I always wind this up. I wind it this way to the left, which would be counterclockwise? No, clockwise. It depends how you're looking at it. I push it. It
really doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't. It will still cut, but I like to push the left-hand side away from me when I wind it up, because I feel like I get more of a cut because I'm pushing down. When I'm pushing down, that's when it's cutting.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you set it in place into your hole. Let me just get in here. I made a divot here, but it's...
So you have a center punch.
Trying to watch the thing. Yes, I have a center punch divot. And then you're going to push down with this hand, and then the trick to learning how to use this is you have to push down and then let it ride back up. Let your hand ride back up.
Because it'll wind up like a yo-yo, basically.
Exactly. It is exactly like a yo-yo in that respect. Push down and let it ride back up.
That's crazy.
Right. And so then I'm holding it with just the one hand, and it's drilling through the... It takes a little longer than your flex shaft, of course.
That is so cool. So the brass
to get through,
Helen was pointing out, so the brass weight helps add weight to the outside to help it spin.
Right. That's its whole purpose. It's like a, see, now it went through and it's stuck in the board, so now I have to pull it back out. And there's my hole that I just drilled.
That's awesome.
Yay. I know. I love these little things. They're so fun. I've seen images online. I've seen a video online of like a Chinese artist using one, and it was really big. I'm going to switch this back around so I can get back.
Yeah.
It was it was really tall. It was like much longer. Like the spinny part and the spindle part were longer.
Well, and they would have to be for
which
bigger
would make
pieces,
it
too. Yeah.
Well, I think more it was that the stroke was longer, because if you have a
Right.
longer spindle, but you're pushing down and it's spinning and turning and cutting for longer in that one direction.
Like the bow. Like a longer bow would give you
Yes,
a
a longer
yeah.
bow would give you basically a longer stroke. But
Right.
this particular one, I think I got this from Otto Fry. The color that's painted on here was me marking my tools. But I think I got this from Otto Fry. It wasn't really obvious where it was on the Otto Fry website. I had to go in to drill bits, to twist drill bits, and then it was like under there. They may have redone their website since then. And then Helen was asking, does the brass weight spin as well? Yes, the brass weight, the whole center spindle spins. So the wooden part is being held in my hand, and everything else spins, including the weight. Yeah. Right. And I wrote on here which direction.
The weight gives it gravity, so it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it will pull it. Exactly. Yeah. So, and then my other favorite drill is a pin vise.
I was going to say, because my pin vise, and I've got several pin vises that I love. Yours is nice because it has the thing on the top that spins.
So that this feature of this pin vise is nice, because then it's designed so that it can just go into your palm.
Right.
And then you can just, so you
twist my hand. Yeah.
Twist by hand. And it's pretty fast.
I got to say, using a pin vise for your drill, especially when I'm doing wax carving and things like that, I'm usually using my pin vise for that. And if I'm doing stone setting and things like that and cutting the seat, using the pin vise drill or a pin vise like this does a little bit more accurate cut instead of trying to do it in a flex shaft. And I think sometimes people get so wound up about using a flex shaft that they overheat their burrs. And but the pin vise is a great option for drilling as well. One of the things too that a lot of people don't know about drill bits is that your drill bits only have two cutting edges on the tip.
Right.
And drill bits don't really cut on the top part of the drill. A lot of times that's even kind of a flat edge. And they cut on that inside lip, which is really sharp. And the flutes are designed to move material out of the way.
They're not actually for cutting.
Right. So the problem that a lot of people have when they're trying to drill a bigger hole in something like a thinner sheet of metal is that if you're trying to get through it with something like this, and it seems like you're trying to like drill and drill and drill, and the drill bit gets dull because the tip is dull, it's actually trying to cut on the outside edge. So it's always best to size up your drilled holes. But
drill a pilot hole, start small.
Yeah, but if your sheet exceeds the thickness of the tip of your blade on the drill, right? If your thickness is thinner, if your gauge of metal is thinner than the thickness of the height of your drill bit tip, a lot of times it'll catch on the metal as it goes through, because there's only those 2 points and it's trying to cut. So you'll feel it catch and spin. So what I do when I get to a certain point when I'm trying to drill a larger hole in a little bit thinner sheet of metal and I'm having that problem is I will switch to my favorite thing in the whole studio.
Ball burrs.
Because they have like 20 cutting edges and they'll much more easily cut the hole, but I'll still size up with them the same way I would with the drill. So
and you would still drill a pilot hole, right?
Oh yeah. So when I get up to that size, I can actually drill a hole through with the ball burr instead of a drill bit, or I'll use a tapered reamer. So, which brings me to the Burrs Demystified class that's coming up in May. That's going to be on the books real soon. So we're going to have a workshop. And
there's so many. Oh my God.
Burrs. Oh yeah.
There's so many burrs, and there's so many things you can do with them. I'm really glad you're doing that class actually, because burrs are like files. People think they have to have all of them, and you don't. You just need to have the right like the
I don't know if
bulbers,
that's
right?
true. I think you need to have all of them.
Well, but you can
I
get,
like having all,
you can
but
do
a
it.
variety.
You can,
It's nice to have a variety.
I'm sure it's the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
Like you wear 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time, or maybe in COVID you wear 2% of your wardrobe 100% of the time.
I wear 100% of my pajamas 100% of the time.
100%
I just have
of the
day
time.
pajamas and night pajamas.
And night pajamas. So with your burrs, I bet it's 20-80-2. You use 20% of your burrs 80% of the time. So as long as you have those 20% and you know,
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Hey, Lori.
As long as you know which 20% are the ones you use the most, and you have a good selection of those, you're 80% of the way there.
Yeah, well, one of the things about the burrs is exactly that. They are like files, and there's a lot to know about them. So so you guys keep an eye out for the Burrs Demystified class coming up.
I want to get some of those twin cut burrs.
Well, and you've got the File Demystified class coming up, which is a good predecessor to the Burrs Demystified. But
files are just really flat burrs.
Right. Well, and burrs are just three-dimensional files.
Burrs are just round dimensional files.
Exactly. Drill bits. But keep an eye out for that. The other thing I did want to say about little drill bits, because they can be the dickens sometimes when you break them off and in a piece of metal where you're you hit a knot and you're like, duh, now what? And sometimes you can grab your pliers and twist it back out. But a lot of times it breaks off like just right in the thickness of your metal. You can't get it out. So there is a way to get the drill bits out, because you will not, and I've seen people like try and drill them out with another drill bit, and that's never going to work because they're the same hardness, and you'll end up really digging into the metal where you shouldn't. What you can do though is use ammonium alum. And you can get ammonium alum in the grocery store, sort of in the pickling area, or you can get it sometimes at the drugstore, but what you're looking for is ammonium alum. And it is, there you go. And it usually comes in a little jar like that, and it says alum on it, just like that. And
this was from the grocery store. I think this was from Safeway.
Yeah. And it's not expensive, but I got to tell you, when you blow out a drill bit in the middle of your mouth, here's what you do. So you take a cup of water and a tablespoon of ammonium alum. Yep. And you boil it, put your piece in there and boil it, and the solution will dissolve the steel drill bit. Right?
I have written on here, I don't know if people can read this, but I wrote on my bottle.
You just keep adding water until the drill bit falls out. And you just let it boil and let it boil. And if you need to, just keep adding water. But it'll boil out, and just let it simmer. And there you go.
Or you can soak it overnight too, if you have enough time. Yeah. If you do that, so what usually happens when you usually break a drill bit is the last thing you're trying to finish up something in the studio.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. It's like, okay, then just take a deep breath, down tools, mix up some alum and water, put the object in it, and go home.
I've got a teapot in the studio. Yeah, I've got a teapot in the studio, and I just let it boil. So,
But what I'm saying is you can leave it overnight.
You can. Right? If you've got, the thing is, if you don't have necessarily boiling water and you just want to speed it up, what you can do is put that solution like in a, if you have like jars in your studio, like I do, you can put that in a jar that's tall enough that it can sit in your pickle. And so it just sits in your pickle and stays warm while you're working. And it will, then when you take it out, your alum is in the jar, your pickle stays in the pot. And there are no fumes from that. No, there are not. So it just, it's a canning thing, or it's used for sealing, for first aid things. It's like the septic stick is alum mostly.
It says on here, use 1 tablespoon alum for each gallon of vinegar required. So I'm assuming that's for a pickling.
For pickling
thing.
Yeah.
What I have written on here, I don't know if you can you read? I don't know if people can read this if it's backwards.
It's backwards.
Okay.
But
it's 1 teaspoon alum, or what I have is 1 teaspoon alum to 2 tablespoons of water. right? So basically it's a 1-to-6 ratio is what I have written on here, and then soak overnight
I've always
to dissolve
used,
steel.
well, to soak overnight, yeah, because that's a stronger solution. But if you're boiling it out, you can use a tablespoon to a cup.
Yeah, okay, right, sure, because you're gonna, hey Sue, you're going to evaporate some of the water. And you know when I've used this? I haven't used it for drill bits in metal. Where I've used this is for drill bits and pearls, because if I'm reaming out pearls or drilling pearls, and then the drill bit gets stuck, then you make, that's why it's like a teaspoon to 2 tablespoons, because you make a little egg cup amount of stuff.
Because you don't want to, because you
don't need a whole
do not
pan.
want to heat that. You want to let it stay cooled.
No. You have to let it sit. So then you put your pearl with your drill bit in there, and then it will just dissolve it, and it'll be fine. The pearl will be fine. So.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well,
Alan, at your friendly neighborhood, pharmacy.
Yeah, or drugstore.
Oh, yeah.
Or
drugstore.
Yeah.
Or Safeway.
I think you can get it at the hardware store too. But yeah, I always find it at like in the first aid section at the drugstore, or in the canning section at the grocery store. But drill bits, yay! So yeah, they're awesome and they're the devil. I always, one of the tips I have about drill bits too is I always have extras of the sizes that I use the most. So if I do break something or something gets dull while I'm working, I don't have like just one. I have a set that's a general size size range of drill bits, but I also have like packs of the individual ones, that are like for 18 gauge, 16 gauge, 20 gauge, so that I can use them for rivets, but they're always fresh and they're always good. So yeah.
I have, this is an old mechanical pencil lead case.
Oh, smart.
It's what this is.
Yeah, I just had mine on my bench.
Yeah, well, I got some from Auto Fry that were in a bag, and so then I stuck them in there, because then, that's exactly
This is the
perfect.
other thing. This is the other thing that's really important. So this I keep with my drill bits, right?
Yes.
So that I can actually check my wire sizes against the drill bit and make sure that they're exactly right for things like rivets and cold connections. So, and the, what's it called? It's I've gone blank. But it's just
a brass sliding gauge?
No. It's
you mean the wire gauge?
This is called a drill bit. It's
a drill bit gauge?
Not a register. It's a Chris,
index.
Help me out.
Index.
Yes,
index.
Index. Yeah.
Index.
So the drill bit index is really kind of nice because it does give you like the exact size of the drill bits, and you can check it out on the. No, it's not a draw plate. This is actually just a drill index. So it has
drill bit index.
Yeah, so it has the sizes on there, but this is not a.
That's a really nice one.
Yeah,
that's a nice one.
Plate. It's just an index. So it actually
you can get cheap ones in plastic. I think I've been given them at the hardware store. So
metal.
That's a nice one though. That one, the metal one, is nice.
I'll tell you when this is real nice too. Is when you spill your drill bits.
Oh. Yeah.
So when you're like, I don't know what size anything is, you can kind of get them in here and go, oh, okay. Oh, there it is. So you know what size they are. And you're not sizing them usually by the flute. You're usually sizing them by the shank, unless they're a
nice tip.
A generalized size shank. So sometimes they're like a 1/8 shank.
Sometimes you have the 3/32 shanks for the quick change hand pieces. Yes. Then obviously all of the drill bits would look like they have the same. That won't work.
But the index is really great for checking your drill bits, making sure they're the right size, checking it against your wire, and resorting them when you drop them, or you lay one down and you're like, I don't remember what size it was. So to get them put back away properly. So it's just so drill bits and drills. They're essential to the studio, and if you have a really cool old, and you can find lots of really cool old vintage drills, like egg beater style drills and stuff like that on eBay all the time. I know Chris is out there like probably looking on eBay right now from Lion Punch Forge, but
well, and he's probably going to go on eBay and find like beautiful old pump drills. This is the kind of thing where if this were Harry Caldwell, he would have like engraved beautiful
Absolutely.
things
Yeah.
on all of this
Yeah.
beautiful brass. In fact, if you have your Lion Punch Forge attachment, you could
Yes, your
engrave your
engraver.
name, and you could engrave, because I think you can take these off. I think this,
You can make like
as I recall,
little wheat and
right,
grapes
I
all the way
know.
around, and
Right.
yeah,
You could
flush
just
set little
engrave
stones in it,
acanthus
and
leaves. Yeah,
yeah,
flesh set little stones. That would be cool. Then it would just like be really blingy as it's spinning around.
it
You could
would.
even have little flesh set stones all around the outside
Wouldn't it be
edge.
beautiful? Every
Like
tool should be beautiful. Yeah,
every tool should be embellished. Exactly.
absolutely.
So, but since it's
So
brass, it lends itself to embellishment.
yeah, but if you're in a situation, you guys, where you don't have access to electricity, you're like, you know, wild winging it out at the cabin, and you're like, how am I going to drill? You've got the power to do that. We've been
Hmm.
doing this as metalsmiths for
Hmm.
millennia without electricity. So there is a
You can
solution.
too.
You can
Yes.
too. Yeah, there's lots and lots of hand drills. So just because you're like, I'm new at this, or I don't want to have to use my flex shaft all the time. I want a better solution. I want something more accurate. I
Hmm.
want,
I want to
yeah,
go more slowly. I don't want to
go more
drill all the way
slowly.
through, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Especially with wax.
yeah, absolutely. So spend
Hmm.
a little money on that guy. And
Hmm.
because a lot of people are confused about the wire gauge, like a BNS wire gauge, they're
Mm-hmm.
very different, and it is hard to actually line up your wire and a drill bit on these. You can do it with a slide gauge too, but the holes in this are not designed for
Mm-mm.
sizing. That is allowance, so you can feel movement, right?
Hmm.
So this is going to be your best way to measure your drill bits and your wire at the same time. So
Yes.
get one
Yeah.
of those. Get a drill
So
bit index.
I like, and this was something I think you talk about in your riveting class. And you're doing sticks and stones, right? Trash and treasure. Isn't that coming
Yeah,
up?
yeah,
And that's
yeah, it
that's going
is.
to involve a lot of rivets, correct? Doesn't that
Actually, it
involve a lot of
depends.
rivets?
I will talk about rivets, but not everybody is riveting things together.
Hmm.
One of the things I like that with my own work when I'm doing mixed media pieces is I'm finding the best solution for adding parts together. So sometimes that's cold connection with things like rivets. Sometimes it's inventing something a little bit different that's like a splayed
Hmm.
catch, or a tubing sort of situation, or chemical bonding. Uh, I'm a master gluesmith, so
Hmm.
so
There's
it's
a
good to
place for
know.
glue, absolutely.
Well, and it's good to
Hmm.
know what glues work on what, and so
Right.
knowing the right
And which ones
glue.
don't work?
Yeah, exactly, and which applications work for it and which what doesn't. So, but also too, there's a lot of safety issues involved with different
Hmm.
materials that a lot of people don't realize. So there's safety
Like you
issues.
shouldn't be drilling pearl and breathing that, for example.
You shouldn't be drilling just about anything and breathing it. So yeah,
True, but the
but
nacre on pearls and shells is particularly bad
true. Yeah,
to breathe.
yeah. But the thing that I do like talking about, especially in that class, is how to drill through those things. So a lot
Hmm.
of drilling situations with things like ceramic and stone, and I mean, obviously, wood's easy to drill through, but when you've got things that are, plastics or natural
Hmm.
materials, or found objects, glass, and beach stuff that you're like, I don't know what it is, getting through those materials can be a little bit trickier, and sometimes you can't do it with just a drill. So
Right.
I've worked with lots and lots of materials across the board with uh, over the years. I've used all kinds of found objects. So I found all kinds of ways to be able to cut those parts, drill them, put them together, and make it easier for the students to be able to do that. So a lot of my mixed media pieces and my gallery jewelry is mixed media stuff that I have
Hmm.
to figure out different ways to use it. I have to find out, the safety stuff that's surrounds some of those materials. I've had a lot of people want to use materials that they found that you can't sell or trade because they come from like American songbirds, which You can't
Right,
use
right.
those kinds of
You can't.
feathers and
Nope,
stuff.
you can't. You can't. You pick up crow. You technically you're not supposed to even pick up, collect feathers from like crows and blue jays and flickers and even pigeons. Technically,
Really?
I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
because I mean, they're the domesticated animal feathers, like turkey feathers and stuff. So this is why Chris Maynard, the feather folio guy that does the feather cutting, I know his work is so incredible. But he uses a lot of turkey feathers and pheasant feathers, domestic animals. Yeah, raptor feathers, no go. Absolutely
exotic,
not. No.
exotic domestic birds. Yeah. But yeah, you
Right.
do have to be really careful and do some research. There's, but yeah, there's all kinds of really, cool stuff out there, but you can't sell it, trade it, get it, anything. Yeah, no. So it's, you have to be very careful about certain materials and knowing, what kinds of materials that are, antique and found and how it's going to wear and what it's going to do. And that's basically what we're going to do in the Sticks and Stones class. So,
cool.
Yeah.
So are you going to show them like how to tell the difference between tortoiseshell and Bakelite, and are you going to talk about stuff like that? Cool.
Yeah, I can do that too. Yeah, because those, I mean, all those things, if you're working with it and you don't know, is it ivory or is it, cellulose?
Right. You can sell it if it's cellulose. Can't sell it if it's ivory. You need to figure it out.
There actually are some types of ivory that you can sell and that you can work
That's true.
with.
That's true.
And there are lots of ivory
like the fossilized
too.
ivory.
Yep, some fossilized ivory, and there's vegetable ivories as well. So
that's right. Tagua nuts. Yes.
Yeah. So there's lots of stuff out there. It's good to know that materials are out there, and if you want to work with stuff, know how to do it, what's going to work for it, what tools can change it, drill it, cut it. Yeah. So all those things make a big difference. So anyway, but that's the plan. That's the Sticks and Stones class. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And the more people that are in that, the better, because everybody's bringing, their materials, and, whether it's, buttons or sea glass or, feathers or, antiques from the grandma's attic, it's like, how do you, I've got, these antique pictures. How do I cut them? It's like, oh, cool. Okay.
Ooh, tintypes and daguerreotypes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Antique glass lantern slides, or
I was just gonna say glass lantern slides. You beat me to it.
I've got a box.
Some beautiful pieces.
Of course, I have a box full of them. So, yeah.
Naturally. Because as one does.
Because of course I do.
Because of course you do.
Like Joseph Cornell with all the drawers that I've got in the studio. But yeah, you have to kind of like figure out what works with what, and good tips on things like, how to cut down stones and change things that you want to use. And so anyway, but that's, the Sticks and Stones class is coming up, and it does have some room in it. Yeah, and actually I know Chris from Lion Punch Forge is out there, and we've got the Lion Punch Forge class coming up this weekend. And then Chris and I are going to be teaching the texture class and making tools for the Lion Punch Forge, so you can do texturing with it, not just engraving.
Nice.
So yeah, so we're going to be doing that in May, and that's coming up on the books as well soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I think the next one. Well, I'm doing the safety talk this weekend.
Yay!
Sign up for the safety talk, people.
Everybody.
I'm doing the safety talk this weekend. Everybody. Yeah. And then I'm doing the Files Demystified class, which I think there's still a couple seats in that one, which will be fun. I'm going to show people how to properly put the handle on a file, right? Because most people don't know that there's a way to do that.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's like all the files. It's like you with files. It's like me with burrs.
I know, because there's nothing as delicious as a new file. So those are coming up on Saturday. Even if you don't have files, if you want to know how to put a handle on a file, by all means join us, and then you can get the file that you want and the handle that you want, and you can put them together, because you'll have a month to watch the video. The other thing that's coming up at the beginning of May for me is I'm going to do a little class on jump ring cutters demystified, because over the years I have one of the original Ray Grossman jump ringers. But I've used the coil cutter, and I've used the Pepe jump ringer, and I haven't used the Durston one, but it's basically a version of the one that I have. Yeah. And I've found some interesting little hacks of ways to make sure you cut all the way to the end of the coil, and recently I've come up with a really pretty stiff method for cutting oval coils, holding them so that you can cut them. Right. and just,
there's different, they have different
care and
size
feeding, how to make it
too.
safe,
Yeah.
and then also how to save your Lemel, right? Because over the course of all the years that I've cut chain, I have, I think, 8 or 10 ounces
I was going to say, I've got about
of silver dust.
Yeah. I've got about
and
an ounce
you don't want to you don't want to waste that stuff. And so I'm going to show people how to make a Lemel trap. So it's a box, a Lemel catch, that you can, and you can actually use the same thing I'm going to show you. You can use it with your flex shaft if you're doing work with your flex shaft to keep the dust and stuff from getting in your face there. So it helps keep your bench clean and helps keep you safe.
Yeah,
so.
I have to say, I'm really excited about your safety class, and there's loads of room in there for people to come and participate. And, if you're working at all, whatever level you are working at, it doesn't matter. You need to be in that class because it's a way to, we want everybody to be working safely at home. We want to demystify some of the safety considerations and make sure that you feel confident in your studio, and that you're working with the best safety practices that you can, and that you're not feeling like, oh my God, it's going to explode, or whatever. So they're
or that you're kind of
putting things in perspective, as well as educating you on what the dangers and what concerns can be.
And you said it really well today, Jennifer, actually, because you said that our industry is actually a really safe industry because we have looked at all these things a lot, and we figured out, what are the ways to do it safer. So, the good news is we're already really safe. The bad news is that there are a few places where people really are just kind of like, I don't want to think about that. It's like ventilation. I'm just going to hold my breath when I solder because I don't want to have to figure out ventilation for my studio. And I'm like, oh no, sweetie, let's get that problem solved for you, because it's really not that hard.
Well, and the class is $10 to cover administrative cost, and so it's not like we're trying to make any money on it. We just really want to make sure that people are, that you're safe.
Are safe. We want you to be safe.
We want you to be doing this for as long as you can. So
yes, and that you stay safe while you're doing it. And that if somebody, and also so that if somebody asks you, well, is that safe? You can say with confidence, yes, it is. I know it is.
It is.
And here's why.
Say, after working in printmaking and photography for many years, I realized that I had people that became very ill around me from printmaking and photography, chemicals, and just from that had been doing this for decades when I was in school, and seeing people that were getting sick and dying and having, cancer and chemical toxicity and stuff like that from painting and from etching and from litho. And there's a lot of stuff, and non-silver photography and photography, there's a lot of chemicals there, and people are like, oh, whatever, while they're
it's like stirring up there,
and it's hard on the body. And I realized when I started doing jewelry that a lot of the safety stuff was changing dramatically when I started doing this already. And people were like, oh no, you don't want to use that. You want to use this because it's a safer way to go. Because there were so many more people working in the industry that wanted to be safe. So I was really lucky at the time when I first started doing this, that there was a huge movement toward that safety. And I realized as well that that most of the things in the jewelry studio you can kind of see coming at you before it gets you, because it's like drill bits.
There it is. Right.
Yeah. That stupid saw blade when it breaks and goes into your finger. That stuff like that.
You kind of know that that's dangerous. But there are misconceptions out there too, and we hope to disabuse people of some misconceptions and derail some myths. People have this idea that citric acid pickle is safer and more natural than the sodium bisulfate or the Sparex, and the reality is that no, it's not any safer, and
it's
actually it's the metal, right?
And
actually the issues of safety are not about us; they're environmental. And so, for those of us who care about the planet, here we are in Earth Month,
and also
we want to take care of the planet.
Well, the thing is about pickle too, and this is an example of safety measures that are in place already to protect you, is that they are the safest pickles that you can use.
Right. It's called safety pickle.
Because we used to use sulfuric and nitric acid.
Sulfuric acid, yes. So, exactly. Yeah. And people used to dip their hands in the sulfuric acid.
And hydrochloric, and I mean, there's like so many acids that were used to etch things and to clean stuff, and it's just like, yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
And that stuff isn't in the usually in a jeweler's studio the way that we work now. So
I'm glad that most people actually don't know what bright dipping and bombing mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, other than bombing, like you drop a bomb on it, but
Yeah.
I actually I'm happy that those are natural too. Yeah, they can kill you.
Yeah, exactly. My point earlier was it's like, rattlesnakes are 100% organic, but
yes, they are.
So are scorpions, and so yeah, it's just you have to kind of be smart about what you're doing and be aware. So
right.
Yeah. But
and then this way, if you come to the live call, if you come to the live safety talk, then you can ask questions.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely,
so it's a lecture, and then there's time for Q&A. So and if you can't attend, you can still buy the lecture class, and then you can watch it later. So
yeah, absolutely.
You have two options.
So for $10, absolutely, yeah. Please, everybody sign up for that. There's lots of room in that class and lots of things to be learned at all levels. Whether you're new at this or whether you're been doing this for years, you're guaranteed to learn something new about the safety stuff.
I hope.
Yeah. So okay. Well, Julia,
thanks
so much. Thanks so much. And let's just
you're so welcome.
Let's say we'll see you later and just slide on out. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Slide on out. Good night.
Good night.